guys, welcome back. Welcome to day 2. If you haven't already, I need you to go check out the basics of probability video first, because there are some things from that video that we're going to refer to in today's video. All right, as for today, we're going to be talking about independent events, which are events that don't affect each other, but I'll wait until we get into the lesson. Moving into today's lesson, I'm going to start again by going over this side of the board before we move on to the paper. So, key things to remember, key words for independent events: with replacement, replacing it, return to. Basically, anytime it says that something's going to get put back before something else happens, that is going to be an independent event. Also, I made a little note right here to not make it complicated. Like if you have 2 coins, they're not going to affect each other. Or even if you have 1 coin, the first time you flip it will not affect the second time you flip it. Or if you have a dice and a spinner, any sort of combination of 2 separate events occurring, that is going to be an independent event. Also, yesterday we talked about how or meant add in probability. And today we need to remember that and, a comma, or then, they all mean multiply. Okay? And I know that's a little backwards, but that is what it means for probability, and we have to remember that. All right, lastly, we want to treat the 2 wants or more inside of the parentheses as separate events before we multiply. So right here, when we have probability of pink and green, first we find the probability of pink and green, then we multiply them as 2 separate things. And when we multiply, remember, with fractions, we go straight across. So then I turn this into an example, and we have 3 pink little dots out of 8 total, and 2 green out of 8. So then we would do 3 times 2, which gives us 6, 8 times 8, which gives us 64, and then if we simplified that, it would come out to 3/32. All right. Now we're going to stop here and I'm going to zoom in so we can do our work. As you can see, I've already highlighted everything we talked about on the other side of the board. If you haven't done so on your printout, it would be a great time to do so, or make note on a separate sheet of paper. Looking at the for instance section, we were looking for the probability of rolling a 4 and flipping a heads. Remember, we need to find both separate probabilities before we multiply. Obviously, our coin is not going to affect our dice, and our dice is not going to affect our coin. So we know this is an independent event. Looking at our dice, we have 1 4 out of a total of 6 sides on our dice, which is where our 1 out of 6 comes from. So this is the probability of our dice. As you can see, I made note of that at the bottom. All right. Then we have our penny, and what was the probability of flipping heads? There's 1 heads out of the 2 sides of the coin, so that probability was 1/2. 1 heads out of 2 total outcomes. Then to find the probability of both events happening together, we multiply straight across. 1 times 1 equals 1, and 6 times 2 equals 12. So our probability of a heads and a 4 is 1/12. In our practice section, I've posted 2 spinners, and we're going to look at number 1 together. So we're looking for the probability of a 4 and B. So this is the first spinner we're going to look at. We need to find the probability of getting a 4. Looking at this spinner, there is only 1 4 out of a total of 8 sections. So our probability of a 4 is 1 out of 8. Then we look at our second spinner to find our probability of a B. Here you can see there's actually 2 B's on this spinner. So the probability of B is 2 out of a total of 6 sections. We then multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. 8 times 6 is 48. We could even take this 1 step further by simplifying it to 1/24. So the probability of spinning a 4 at the same time that we spin a B is 1 out of 24. For number 2, we're looking for even, then C. Remember, then was keyword for multiply. So first, let's find our probability of an even number on our first spinner. Remember, even numbers are numbers divisible by 2 and end up with a whole number. So it is 2, 4, 6, and 8. That gives us a total of 4 even out of 8 total. Then C. On our second spinner, we only have one section listed as C, so that would be 1 out of 6. Again, we multiply straight across. 4 times 1 is 4. 8 times 6 is 48. We can simplify our answer by dividing both 4 and 48 by 4 to get 1 over 12. So the chance of spinning an even number at the same time we spin a C is 1 over 12. Now would be a great time to pause and try question 3 on your own. Before you start it though, I want you to look here and remember that OR means add. So when you're looking for your first probability, you should be adding the probabilities of a 1 or a 2. With that being said, we have 1 or 2, which means there's a total of 2 options on that spinner that we are looking to get out of 8. Remember, our comma is another thing that means multiplication, and then we're looking at an A. On the second spinner, we have 3 sections listed as A. So that would be 3 out of 6. Then we cross multiply. 2, not cross multiply, oh my word. Straight across multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. 8 times 6, 48. Again, we can simplify. If we divide both 6 and 48, they're both divisible by 6, we would get 1 over 8. So there is a 1/8 chance of spinning a 1 or a 2 on our first spinner. In our one step further box, I wanted to add an example of a word problem that we could see for independent events. So here it says, in a box of highlighter, there is 5 yellow, 3 pink, 4 blue, and 1 purple. What is the probability of picking a pink, replacing it, then picking a blue? Right here we have one of those key words that we've talked about that means independent events, okay? Now, I like to take it and turn this whole thing into something that reads probability of using the parentheses. So we're looking for the probability of a pink, then blue. Now this looks more similar to what we had done up in our previous steps, right? So we're just going to treat it as 2 separate events. One of them is pink, then blue. The only difference here is we weren't given the total number of highlighters in the box, which is easy enough to figure out. We just have to count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 highlighters in the box. Obviously, if you didn't have the manipulatives in front of you, you would just take the number of each and add them together. So 5 plus 3 plus 4 plus 1 should equal 13. All right, so our total for both is going to be 13. So first, what is our probability of a pink? We have 1, 2, 3 pinks out of a total of 13. Then for our blue, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 13. Okay, we multiply straight across. So 3 times 4 is 12 over 13 times 13 is 169. And that is our final answer. All right, that's it for today's video lesson. I hope that made independent events a little clearer. If not, please send me a message on It's Learning and I'll get to you today and we can understand this before we move on tomorrow. I hope y'all are having a great time at home, getting all your schoolwork done. Let me know if you need anything and I miss you. Bye.